I'm Becky and today I thought we could do a book unhaul. I will start by mentioning again the change of background. If you can't tell at the moment, I'm trying to find like somewhere to film in my bedroom because I'm in a new room. So we've tried the bed, now we're trying the bookcase. However, as you can tell, there's books there, there's no books here because I have two free shelves that I'm kind of filling as we go along. So there's just kind of there's a pillowcase there. But that's books, so it's kind of a bookcase. This is the first unhaul I've done just because I don't find myself in a position where I'm throwing away books very often, just because I don't buy lots of books. I don't bulk buy books the way I see some people do. I maybe purchase a few books a month because I kind of read one and then if I like it I'll read the next one. I don't just like buy lots in one go, so I don't find myself often having to throw them away. However, because I recently bought this bookshelf, it did mean that I had a chance to go through the books I own and like work out which ones I want to keep and which ones are to go. And we're going to go through some of those to go books today. So I split this into like sections. There isn't many books here because I don't own too many books, so there wasn't many that I was throwing away. So we've kind of split it into copies, like books I have multiple versions of and don't need that many versions of, books that I've read and just didn't like enough to keep, books that I DNF'd, and series that I DNF'd / series that I bought and actually never got around to reading. This isn't all the books I'm getting rid of either. Just to my left there's a massive box full of other books I'm getting rid of, but I kind of looked through them and decided that they're not either well known enough to really be worth bringing up, or they're just like not worth mentioning. Just kind of like YouTuber biographies and things from when I was like 12. It just didn't seem relevant, that kind of stuff. So this isn't it, otherwise this would be, oh my god, the smallest sort out in the world. It's just I've picked the ones that I think are maybe worth mentioning. So we'll start with the copies, get them out of the way, because I think that's like the less gossipy stuff, isn't it? You know, books that I like but I just have too many versions of them. So the first one we have here is The Wicked King by Holly Black. Like I just said, it's a copy. I do have other copies of this. In fact, there it is. There's my other copy of it there. I have far too many copies of this. So that one, this is the one I read, I believe, like when I first bought it. That one over there is the one that is signed by Holly. So I thought it would make more sense keeping that one and just throwing this one out. I just got Queen of Nothing as well, because Waterstones have it before release day. So hopefully I can start that soon and hopefully there'll be a review on it. And I promise that the Call Down the Hawk review I keep saying is coming is actually coming. I'm just not great. Anyway, second and the last like copy I'm getting rid of is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This, I believe I had 5 copies of the book. This isn't the only version of this book I'm getting rid of. I have another Queen of Air and Darkness in the box that is also going, just because I have that many copies. Basically what happened, because like I didn't purposefully end up with that many, it's not even the best Cassandra Clare book by like a mile, but the reason I have so many copies is because I pre-ordered one on Amazon, then when it didn't show up on release day, I went into Waterstones and bought another copy, which I believe is this one. The one from Amazon is the one in the box over there. Then I went to the signing, so I ended up with an extra signed copy. Then I went to get the new Waterstones ones that have these sprayed red edges, and then I also have the Waterstones Collector's one, which has like the cool, fun runes on it and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up with far too many copies of it, and so 2 of them are going. It's yeah. And nobody needs that many copies of a book that large. So that's like just a couple copies that I had that I thought I'd mention, because like I do have those books. I did like those books. They're just, I don't need that many of them. Next, we'll go through the books that I DNF'd. This doesn't include series. There is another book that I DNF'd, but that's part of a series, so I'm going to do series in a minute. These are just like standalones that I never finished. So first up, we have The World According to Bob by James Bowen. This I got ages ago, like when all I read was Cassandra Clare, which is quite possibly why I never finished it, because it's clearly not Cassandra Clare. If you don't know what this book is about, I believe from what I remember, it was written by a homeless man, and it's the story of him and his cat Bob, and how Bob helped him during his time on the streets. I just never finished this, I think because it wasn't my kind of thing. I've never been a big person for like biographies, so I never really got around to finishing it. I did enjoy what I read of it and it was interesting. It's just not something that kind of held my attention enough for like 13-year-old me to bother finishing, and now I probably never will go back and finish it, which is why it's on this list. I feel like I'm really low down. I keep trying to like get myself a bit higher. It's so hard trying to find somewhere to film. Next is Sophie's World by Justine Garda. This, again, is a book that I got when I was only reading Cassandra Clare books. This was given to me by the head teacher at my school at the time, just because he found out that I was a reader and thought I'd maybe be interested in this. In general, what I got of it, it follows a girl called Sophie, and she's receiving letters that are all very philosophical, and it's definitely supposed to be going somewhere. All of these letters that she gets are kind of about the world and sort of these different meanings, and I believe it's supposed to be somebody playing some form of game with her. However, I never finished it, so I couldn't tell you, and it just confused me so much. I'm not like the most intellectual person on the face of the planet, so all of the philosophy and that just went straight over my head. I was like, I know you're trying to tell me something, but I'm not smart enough to know what. Bit like reading a Maggie Stiefvater book where I'm like, I know there's a message in here, but whatever it is, I'm not intellectual enough to understand it. So that's the reason I didn't finish this. I just didn't really understand it and therefore couldn't hold myself to reading it, and I just never finished it. In fact, wow, look at that. I was reading this for months and I got to page 69. So I didn't even get far into the book. It was just not something that I was enjoying, and it was very confusing and rather dull for 13-year-old me. Although, to be honest, I've just opened this now, straight onto a page about Freud, and as a psychology student, maybe it'll be worth keeping? I don't know, probably not. I'll buy it on Kindle in the future if I decide to go back to it. And the final book in the DNF category is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is what I like to call a disappointment. Not because of the book itself, but just because of my own expectations of it. This was the first Rainbow Rowell I ever picked up, and honestly, it is the only Rainbow Rowell I've ever picked up. I got it a few years ago because it seemed kind of relatable, the whole fangirl thing. I know she writes fan fiction. I was like, maybe I can get behind this, maybe this is a contemporary that I can enjoy because I don't read that much contemporary. And to begin with, I thought it was really strong. Basically, it just follows a girl in college, she's just moved into college with her twin, and it's kind of about her finding a way around college, or at least what I read of it is about that. And so it started off quite relatable because there was a lot to do with the main character that I could see in myself. We had the same sort of social anxiety and the same interest in fandoms, and I thought it was really going somewhere that I could enjoy. I really related to the character. I was like, you know what, I might really enjoy this. And then just ever so slightly there started to be hints at a love triangle. I haven't read the rest of this book. I don't know if there's a love triangle in it. I do know that is somebody romantic, but I just couldn't keep it up. I don't like love triangles, let's just say that. I despise them. I quite often refuse to read books if I know there's a love triangle in them and the plot doesn't sound like it'll carry itself on otherwise. But this, I just kind of was so relating to the character, and then suddenly when it was oh, maybe this man is in love with me, and maybe this man has feeling, and I was like, oh, you know what? And I just shut the book and never opened it again. Again, this I got chapter 12, I got to page 133. So again, I don't know what becomes of this. I don't know if there's a love triangle in it. I don't know what the plot does. I just know that I could see something coming. I could see the romance coming, and I dipped out because I didn't want to have to deal with that, and it frustrated me that that was where it was clearly going. And yeah, I just never finished it. Although somebody tell me if I'm correct. That's those characters from Carry On, isn't it? Is that, thinking back on the book, that's the fan fiction she's writing, isn't it? Is that what Carry On is about? Next, before we get onto series, I'm going to quickly do the books that I've finished and just didn't like enough to keep. Just because there's one on the list and I'm a bit scared to talk about this because I think I know it's a bit of a controversial one. So the only book I'm getting rid of because I read the entire thing and thoroughly did not enjoy it is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahoran. I just didn't like this. It was shite, to be honest. It wasn't a good book. Usually I can understand why a book I don't like is really popular, or why a book that I really like isn't so popular. This, however, I genuinely don't understand the hype surrounding it. I was going to do a whole video about it, but I didn't want that kind of negativity linked to my channel, although I am still considering doing it just because I have a lot of feelings about this book that I kind of want to get out into the world. In general, I thought the characters were unoriginal. I thought the world building was naff or non-existent. I couldn't really tell even what time it was set in. I thought the writing was all over the place. I thought the plot was boring. I thought the romance was boring. The only thing that it kind of had going for me is that I liked the magic system in it. And I liked a few of the side characters, like they were kind of funny. It just kind of felt like somebody had took Aelin Galathinius and Matthias Helvar and put them into a world and made them witches. Like, that was kind of how it came across. The only reason I knew it was supposed to be, like, medieval France was because I'd read the thing that came with the Fairy Loot edition, because this is the Fairy Loot edition, that said that it was set in medieval France. If I hadn't have known that, I maybe would have picked up on the France from the French they speak in it. But other than that, there's not that much to lend you to the fact that that's where it's supposed to be set. I just thought it was bland. I nearly DNF'd it twice. Honestly, I only finished it so I could review it. I was like, I had 50 pages left, and the whole time I'd been thinking, don't give up on it now because it'll get better. Don't give up on it now, it'll get better. With about 50 pages left to go, I realised it wasn't going to get better, and at that point, I was like, just finish it so you can talk about it. And then I didn't talk about it anyway, so I kind of wasted a month of my life, and that's why I'm getting rid of this. Even though it's such a lovely copy, it even has, like, the inside... Ooh, if I can pick it up without knocking it over. There's a little bit of it. The inside of the dust jacket has, like, art on it as well, and the pages are all golden sparkly, so it's very pretty. It's just not good. So I don't really know what to do with this. I was going to just donate it, but, like, it's such a nice copy of the book that I didn't know whether to do a giveaway or something instead, because I know there's a lot of people who really enjoyed this book. So I don't know. I'll think. I don't really know how giveaways work, so that would probably be quite confusing. But, yeah. On to series, the final bit. There's 2 series to talk about, 2 trilogies actually, which are both trilogies everybody will have heard of. I don't even really need to say much about them. The first is one that I just never got around to reading, that I bought thinking I'd read and then never did, and honestly at this stage in my life I'm not going to go back and read them at any point, so there's no point in me keeping them. And those are the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. I'm holding them completely wrong, I'm aware of that, but like, just go with it. I got these like when the Maze Runner movies were coming out and everybody was like obsessed with them, and I watched the first movie and was like, maybe I'd like the books of these. And then I just never got around to reading them, and I was never interested enough to watch the rest of the movies. And so yeah, they just ended up sat on my bookshelf for ages, just picking up dust. So I finally made the decision that I'm never going to read the Maze Runner series now, so there's no point in me keeping them. So they can go to charity, and somebody else who's maybe is a bit younger can enjoy them. The last books for this unhaul are Divergent series by Veronica Roth. The reason I'm getting rid of these, just because I didn't enjoy them that much. I watched the first movie and liked it, and so I read the first book. Then I read the second book because the first one was like alright, like it took me some time to get into it, but it was okay. Then I read the second one and it took me a little bit longer to get into it, but in general it was alright. Then I kind of was like, you know what, I'll also read the last one, and I started Allegiant and I didn't enjoy Allegiant and I ended up not finishing it. In fact, let's see. It has no dust jacket, by the way. I don't know what happened to it. I must have lost it a long time ago. But I got 192 pages into Allegiant. I was like 12 when I tried to read these and gave up. And I never watched the rest of the movies either, so it was never like a big thing. I know how it goes, and I just wasn't that interested, so they are also getting dumped. And that's it. That's everything on the list. Some sort of more normal choices, I think. Some choices I think might anger a few people. But yeah, that's everything. That is probably the only unhaul you'll see me do for a while, because like I said, you know, I have space on my bookshelf still. I don't have to be getting rid of anything. Please do tell me in the comments for a start, like, anything that you've recently unhauled that you think might be a little bit controversial in the book community. And also please tell me what you think of this current background. Obviously it's not great because there's only one shelf of books. I promise there are other shelves of books, they're just like above me. This one just happens to be one of the bottom ones. But hopefully there will be books on it like next year. But I'm just trying things out. I have another place in my room that I also want to try filming in, so please tell me if you prefer this to me filming on my bed, or if you preferred me filming on the bed. Let me know so like I can adjust things a bit. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye!